superstar, 11-time tag team champion of the world. This egotistical bastard is ready to shoot the shit as Shawn Walsh presents The Shawn Walsh Show, where there is no holds barred.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 18th edition of the Shawn Walsh Show. And folks, we got one hell of an episode lined up for all of you today. I have on DWall of DCA. It's a very interesting episode, to say the least. There's a lot of good discussion between myself and DWall. We talk a lot about DCA and how DCA's origins, DCA's women's division. We talk about some of the new things coming into DCA, such as to call us as champion AJ Young, who's coming into DCA, possible other people DCA is looking at, which caught me and some others by surprise. And I say some others because, as you know, with the Shawn Walsh Show, sometimes I'd like to have a bit of an audience. So you may or may not, probably the former, hear them speak at some point during the show. But there's a lot of DCA talk. We talk about Revelations, the very controversial show of DCA. It was a talk a few months back, and for the first time, DWall is really going to get a chance to speak on what happened and explain it, and a lot of that is going to happen. DWall takes a very standard approach with it, which I certainly respect. Me and some others don't necessarily take the same approach, but when have I ever taken a standard approach? So you have to look forward to that. Some rants later in the show, very entertaining. Also some very unexpected comedic moments that you're going to see in the blooper reel, which I did not intend on having a blooper reel, but because of the unexpected events that happened, there is a blooper reel. It's very entertaining, so look forward to that. I said in the beginning, this is the 18th edition of the Shawn Walsh Show, which means we are almost at our season finale. Our season finale is going to be episode 20, which is going to be a special edition of the Shawn Walsh Show in which people get to ask me questions. I put the question out there a few episodes back as to who you guys think should host the Shawn Walsh Show. It could be Adam Jackpot, who you heard host the Shawn Walsh Show when Rap Metal was on last week. It could be AJ Young, to, as he calls it, a special Young's Theory edition of the Shawn Walsh Show. It could be the both of them. Let me know in the comments below, or message me, or I'll probably put like a poll up on like the Call Shoot page or something and ask people who they are interested in hosting the show as I am being asked questions. Remember, you can send questions for the Shawn Walsh Show at askfm. Oh, wait. It's not .com. It's askfm/ Shawn Walsh 105. Excuse me, but I'm used to things having a .com. So yeah, go send your questions there. You can send questions for next episode, which is going to have Fisk, aka Andrew. He has many gimmick names in other shows, but most notably known as Fisk. So if you have any last minute questions before we go and record the show, go send them. AskFM / Shawn Walsh 105. See, I got it right that time. And also, if you have questions for the finale of the Shawn Walsh Show for me, you can send them to me. But please, specify that it's for the show and not just for me to answer there. Or you can send them to whoever the host ends up being, which by next week on the 19th edition of the Shawn Walsh Show, I will announce who that host will be, because by that time I will know. And you can send questions to that person. You can ask anything. A few updates for the Call All Stars YouTube channel. The next Call All Star special, Redemption Road, will be coming up in the next couple weeks. Obviously, in case you haven't heard, the main event is going to be AJ Young defending his Call All Stars championship against CJ Hawkins. It's going to be one epic match, an epic event. Go to Call All Stars Facebook page and you go see all the breaking news. Lots of breaking news coming out about Call All Stars, so go check that out. But I'm not going to keep you waiting anymore. Let's get to this show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Shawn Walsh Show, and today we got an exclusive for all of you. We have on DCA's own DWall. DWall, welcome to the show.
Welcome. It's nice to have. It's nice to be here. Taking some time out to do this interview. I know I haven't been around that much, but I'm happy to be here regardless.
I'm happy to have you on the show. We're going to talk about a lot of things. I know there are some people who are aware of some of the recent circumstances involving DCA, which we are going to get to a bit later, because I know we're all looking forward to that. But first, I'm going to ask DWall the question I ask everyone. When the first question always is, how did you get into call wrestling?
How'd I get into...
What's your thought on Shannon Moore?
Well, how did I first get into call? Well, I'm sure everybody's heard of WEDF by this point. If you don't, I don't know what's wrong with you. But I started watching that a few years ago, and it caught my interest. I was like, I want to start a league myself, but I never really had the means to do so up until 2013. And of course, June 1st, 2013 was when DCA's first episode started, and it just went on from there. But that was my main influence, was watching WEDF, and that was the main call show I was watching at the time. I didn't know of any others around, and that was the main one I ended up watching. And I didn't really want to do a fantasy league or a league with WWE guys in it, because I felt like that was already played out. Like a bunch of other leagues do that.
Right.
I wanted to try my hand at an original call league only, and that's what DCA became, was just an original call league with superstars I made myself. But now, of course, there's a few others that from our other leagues that are in there now. And, of course, this developmental league, Sudden Impact Pro, that just started, that people can come in to have their colleagues and their cause, and they feel like they need a bigger exposure. That's basically what that's for. And it's just straight up an original league, which I really enjoyed doing myself.
Oh, well, obviously, as many know, I like original call shows. And it's interesting that the influence was from WEDF, because like how you talk about, WEDF, it has some original guys, but majority is WWE or any wrestlers in there. Besides WEDF, was there any original call shows that caught your attention early on? Maybe like a DWF, the ECW, a show like that you watched?
I watched a little bit of DWF.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a few SMFs. just a few of those.
Right.
I don't remember any other ones, but this was like right around the time I wanted to start because I wanted to get a better idea of where I wanted my league to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know, yeah, like you said, WEDF is mostly WWE and ROH and other guys like that. But I mostly watched them, and then I watched near toward where I started. I watched RPW, URWL, and DWF, SMF a little bit. And I don't remember any others, but those were the main ones I ended up watching just to get an idea of where I wanted to take my league. Even though I'm not a copycat or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. I don't try to be. I don't try and do stuff that everybody else does, because if that's the case, then you should just watch somebody else, in my opinion.
Right.
Because, you got to try and make it original at some point, and I think I've done that in like the Gateway to Heaven ladder match last season. I did a men's match and a women's ladder match, and it was unique because that match took off with my Wildcats division, which I'm sure I'll get into later. That really defined what DCA was around that time, was the Wildcats division. But that match itself just told me that that's different, because you don't really see 6 women in a ladder match for a guaranteed title shot,
Mm-hmm.
And that Gateway to Heaven ladder match, I think, was unique too, because it was a combination of the Royal Rumble and Money in the Bank, in which case I didn't want to do a Royal Rumble. I didn't want to do a Battle Royal for a title shot, because that's played out too. I didn't want to do a Money in the Bank because everybody's doing that. So why not combine the two, put 6 people in a ladder match, and give them a guaranteed title shot at the final CPV for winning the match? That was just an original idea that I came up with. So that's just my head going, okay, I had to think of something original to keep DCA different from everybody else.
Right. Now, you talked about, you called your Wildcats division, which is your women's division, right?
Yes.
Now, this is the one thing I remember when I would see DCA. What I first noticed is that there is a women's division, and it's very important. Like in other shows, such as my show, I haven't had a women's division in years. A lot of call shows have gotten away from doing women's call wrestling. There are still some there. However, it's not as big as maybe it was years ago. So, and I remember, I doubt you remember this, but I remember one time we talked about this. Why does DCA have a women's division, and why is it important? Because I know you like having a women's division, and why should people focus on your women's division?
Because at least, I know everybody's going to say this, but at least we don't do what WWE does. They treat their women division like 5-minute restroom break matches, and that's just ridiculous to me, because I feel like if the men can go 15 minutes in a match and it steals the show, why can't women? To me, it should be the same either way. So I try and make my women's division just as important as the men's division, and I believe it is at this point, because the Gateway to Heaven ladder match that I did was it took off so well, and that put eyes on the women's division so much that it even has its own brand now, because it has its own show, an hour-long show devoted straight to the Wildcats division. And even now, there's women's only CPVs now that DCA is doing, just because people like to see the women's division get more spotlight, and these women's matches are treated more important. They're treated more special than, say, any other promotion that either doesn't have a league, a women's roster, or has a women's roster, but it's not treated the way it should. And I've been told by several people that my women's division, and I'm not trying to brag. If I am, then I apologize in advance. But there's people that have literally messaged me or talked to me and told me that my women's division could be one of the, if not the greatest booked women's leagues in virtual wrestling CAW today, because I treat it as equal as the men. I don't want to have women's matches that end with roll-ups unless it's needed, or any of that stuff, fluky finishes unless it's booked properly or something like that. Like, there's no sense in that. If you treat your women's division like a joke, then people are going to see it as a joke. If you have that in your mindset, in my opinion, it's going to be a joke. And to me, I don't want it to be a joke. I want it to be something special, something people remember, something people can look back and say, okay, that was a really great women's match. And I believe I've done that on the past few occasions. If people have seen Wildcats or if they've seen the CPVs, they know how special the women's division is because it's treated that way. That's how I see it.
Very well said. Now, you said how women obviously have their own click per-view events. They have their own shows dedicated to them because they are equal to the men, and it's on the same par. I don't know if you have already done this, so if you have, just correct me. But would you be in favor of having a DCA show where both men and women are on the show, maybe both have world championship matches, and the women are the ones who go on last?
I will consider that. I don't believe, except for one time where it was a women's match that closed the show. I believe it was episode 23, but after that, it was a lead up to the Gateway to Heaven men's ladder match. So it was technically the main event, but wasn't really. But I see what you're saying. You're saying like the closing show moment is the women's match, correct? Right. Okay. I would not be opposed to that. I would love to do that. If at some point I can do that, I will. Because usually what is happening now ever since Wildcat started is the only time that women are on the show, on the main show, which is Takedown, is if it's like a special episode or if it's a CPV that's like one of the big four, because there's 4 big CPVs now instead of all the other ones. This season is broken down, instead of like 8 or 9 CPVs now, it's just down to 4 main ones, trying to have more focus on the other shows. And of course I think there's going to be 2 women CPVs this season. So yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. I'd love to do that at some point in the future.
All right. Now with DCA, obviously there's a bit of a following when it comes to DCA. There are DCA fans. Was the takeoff for DCA, was it right away? Was it after a certain show? When do you feel fans started to really catch the attention of DCA?
Well, I can tell you it wasn't immediate, that's for sure. I mean, I at the first steps, I think I got like maybe 13 views an episode at the start. I mean, I know my first one was about 200 views, but after that, it's just started bumping down because, it started to take a while to get started. But after the 20th Takedown episode, that's when it moved to HD, and people started taking off after that. But it started to slow down a bit up until around Gateway to Heaven. And of course, if you saw that show and you know the ending that happened, after that, people started really paying attention just because of the ending that happened and the matches that happened on the show. And I believe after that, because that's still, to this day, my highest rated show on my channel is Gateway to Heaven. If I'm wrong, I haven't taken a look yet, but that is my highest viewed show. And I believe that's when really DCA really took off, is after that, because like I said, the ladder matches, the main event, the angles and storylines surrounding what happened at the end of the night really set eyes on DCA as like, hey, we really need to tune in and watch this. It's getting really good now. And after that, just took off from there, in my opinion.
Now, DCA, obviously, like you talked about earlier, it being an original call show, you have your own creations. However, DCA has brought in some other people who've made their name, say, elsewhere, or that aren't your original creation, which today a lot of call shows do that. Who are some of the big names that have come into DCA that you're either? I mean, some may be really happy about bringing in, or some may be not so happy about bringing in.
Well, for one, of course, the current DCA World Champion, Malik Brown, is formerly Loudon Styles. He came in around the time of Gateway to Heaven. He was commentating, and then he transitioned over to being a wrestler, and now he's the world champion, of course. And I was happy to bring him on. Smokey is another person. He was in there for a short time, but he's coming back at some point in a little while. Ray Geddes is coming in too. I was really happy to bring him in to DCA because he's got a huge following right now. And of course, there's a storyline with him that's involved with one other person on my roster, and just continue that. But those are the main three that I was really happy to bring in. Of course, there's others. Of course, there's a storyline going on right now with Malik's brother, Dante Styles, that's really, really good right now. People are watching the current episodes. That's really, really good. Started ever since the season began. And a few others. I know the Blade Runners, Tyler King, Gage Grayson, they were in, that I brought in, and they left after the whole Revelations thing. And there's a few others that left after that that I wasn't particularly happy with happening. But I'm open to bring more people in eventually. When they just have to talk to me, and then we sort it out and see where it goes.
Now, since you talked about it, who are some people in call today that you'd like to see in DCA? There's a lot of names in call wrestling. Call wrestling, there's a lot of big names in 2015 going around.
Yeah, I know there's a few others that are going into the developmental. The Sudden Impact Pro. I know TRT, Bradley Reynolds, he's going to be in there. Lester Barkley, he's going to be in there. And some other ones. I'm trying to think of who. Shawn Walsh is one of them. Yes.
Oh, that Shawn Walsh guy. I hear good things. I hear good things about him. I hear he's a great tag team wrestler. I hear he can do it one-on-one too. I hear he can bring a whole new audience and everything. I heard he got screwed with Caleb Blair in their matches and all that kinds of stuff.
No, fuck that guy. Don't hire him.
He's
claw poison.
He's a piece of shit to listen to his fans about what the name of the show should be called.
And Shawn Walsh got his hand till he gets really numb and masturbate.
Oh,
piece of shit.
Shawn Walsh does have his haters, though.
Yeah. I know AJ Young just announced he's going to be in DCA.
Yeah.
So he'll be there at some point. As for others, I've been watching AWF and COH, and I've had an interest in some of the people over there. Like I said, Lester Barkley's going to be in DCA. I already talked to him. I know there's a few others, but I can't think of their names right now. I don't know if you list some names I might remember, but I don't remember off the top of my head, but there's a few others.
Well, You said...
I know one.
Oh, go ahead.
I know one. Brock Manson.
Oh, the Sandman, Brock Manson.
Yeah. Really interested in trying to have him in DCA. But I know there was another one.
Is this from AWF or is this from COH?
Probably COH.
COH.
The Alex Enterprise.
Oh, the Alex Enterprise. Well,
I know he retired or something like that from what last time I remember.
He retired from COH, but he did just show up on AWF Uprising, and he kicked me in the head too. I don't know why he did that, but...
Oh, okay, well, if he's not retired, then there you go. But there might be a few others if I just name some of them, I guess, but I might remember.
Well, let's see. In COH, there's people like the Patriot. There's Kenyon Phoenix.
I don't think Ray Geddes would like that if the Patriot showed up.
Yeah,
No.
I hear they don't like each other very much.
No, I've been watching.
There's Caleb Blair. There's who the fuck else is there? There's a ton of people. There's Fisk. There's Nitro.
J-Crack.
Who? That footage? That's tricky. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I don't know. And regardless, Jay probably has his reasons.
Yeah.
And I said Phoenix, Kenyon Phoenix.
Yeah.
And for people, because they can't see it, I have Ray Geddes and Adam in the comments saying Phoenix, 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 when I said Phoenix.
If they want him in, then all they got to do is get in touch with me. I won't have a problem with it. Just get through the right channels, I guess. So we'll make something happen.
So sign me in Phoenix.
So DCA is open for new additions.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's some openings. You just had to.
You said you have the developmental show now. Maybe it depends on who it is, but if you were to bring someone new in, would it be a thing of where they would get sent to developmental first? Would they come up first? Would it depend on who they are?
It depends on a few things. Because I know Ray Geddes is big of a following. He wouldn't want me to just send him straight down to developmental because he wouldn't want that. I know that right off the bat. Lester Barkley, he's going to be in Sudden Impact. Bradley Reynolds is going to Sudden Impact. They all didn't mind because I talked to them first about it. AJ Young, of course, All Stars champion. He's going up to the main roster right off the bat. Mm-hmm. But it just depends. Like, I don't want to. If they're a big enough established name already, then why should I send them to developmental unless it's the right kind of storyline or something? Because it's kind of like this. You bring up somebody real established in like ROH or something. Like Samoa Joe went to NXT, but I know why.
Right.
I know why they did that because they're people are injured and stuff like that. But if it was a different situation, would you bring them into NXT first, or would you just shoot them up to the main roster?
Right.
If they sent down to NXT, then what would that do?
Mm-hmm. I always look at it like this: when the WWE, when they brought in Sting. Now, granted, Sting's in his 50s, but you'd never send Sting to NXT because Sting's way too big of a name. But you could send a guy like a Sami Zayn to NXT first before he comes up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to get him out of that traditional, indie style. Mm-hmm. Which I understand that. So, it's different with Kaw, but it just depends. Like, I don't want to send anyone that's a big like Ray Geddes, of course. That's the best example. Mm-hmm. As big of a following as he has, they would really get on my case if he ends up being in developmental. Because it'd be like, no, he deserves to be on the main roster. Right off the bat. And I know he wouldn't care where he goes, because he's a fan of the sport and stuff. But his fans would be like, okay, he needs to go to the main roster. Why would you put him in developmental? He doesn't deserve that. And I'd agree with him. I would agree with him 100% because of what he's done and how big of a name he is. So that's the basis of my decision making is, if you're a really huge established name, and the only other way I see you going down there is to build up someone, or if you're only there for a short time, to build up the prestige of the brand and then move straight up to the main roster. But if there's no other reason, you're going up to the main roster first.
All right. We're going to sidetrack it here and go to a question submitted to Ask FM. Keep in mind, for all the folks at home, AskFM/Shawn Walsh 105 to go send your questions for the Shawn Walsh Show. And this question is, who are some of the people in Call that you like but aren't as popular? Like, everyone likes Ray Geddes, and Ray's awesome, but Ray's very popular.
Yeah. So just the people who are
someone who
liked, but not all really on the radar people.
Right.
Well, like I said, I think AJ Young isn't that, is liked, but he hasn't had that big exposure yet. I'm sure he's in a lot of these places, but, and he's the Call All-Stars champion, but he hasn't had that one place where he's really well known. And I think now that he's in DCA, he'll be finally able to have that one platform that really brings him up there to that level, And, people and like Brock Manson, like I mentioned earlier, he is one of the guys that could be a huge star. But, I feel like I want DCA eventually to be this platform where these people like Brock Manson, like AJ Young, like Jay Crack, like Shawn Walsh, like Caleb Blair, can go and build their way up to this main level to where they're well established too. Not where Ray Geddes is at. Because if you think about it, Ray Geddes' main stage where he got as popular as he is was CCL. He was there for so long, and he got this following from there, that one place. And now he's in all these other places because of it. I want DCA to be like that. To have that platform people can grow on, and then they'll say, hey, I know him. I know Shawn Walsh. I know AJ Young. I know Lester Barkley from DCA. And from all these other colleagues, All
right. Now, one thing that obviously I'm very well known for running and participating in is Call All-Stars, which DCA is going to be at Call All-Stars like it was last year. And first, let's throw it out here because I don't think I announced it yet, but DCA does in fact have a match for Call All-Stars 7. In which you guys are going to be going up against DZW, which...
Yeah, that match, I believe, if I do remember correctly, is supposed to be Takeru Yukimura against Kenshin Takahashi, and they're both from Japan. They're both really high flyers. They both have a striking game, so it will be a really exciting high-flying matchup to see. I figured that would be a really exciting match to put on instead of like a regular title match or something like that. But yeah, that'll be a really good match. I can't wait to see it.
Same here. Now, with Call All-Stars, obviously, there's a ton of stuff going on with Call All-Stars. What is some of the stuff that I don't know if you've noticed it, but that for Call All-Stars this year, whether it be some of the specials or some of the matches that are going to be happening that you're interested in seeing?
Well, of course, AJ Young's going to be defending his Call All-Stars title. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited to see if he's going to be able to keep it when he comes to DCA, of course, because then that would mean that the Call All-Stars championship might be defended on DCA.
Mm-hmm.
It'll have to at some point.
Right.
And if that's the case, then that means a DCA guy could end up becoming Call All-Stars champion, which, I thought about last year, but it didn't happen, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But, anything can happen. And then, of course, the Rumble match, which I already have my 2 representatives for. Of course, one will be Mr. Amazing Alexander Washington, former longest reigning Celestial champion in the company. Then the other is going to be Zach Stone. And if you've seen recent programming, he's not really in the best of moods right now, or in the right frame of mind right now after what's been happening with him. So I think maybe getting a title opportunity whenever would be something that will actually help him in the long run.
All right. Let's see. Now, let's go talk about CCL. Because DCA has a bit of a partnership, relationship of some sorts with CCL. There was a big storyline with DCA, and it was catching storm. A lot of people were talking about it. So, for some of the people that maybe don't know everything in regards to the storyline with CCL versus DCA, explain how that came about.
Well, first of all, I talked to Eddie Mack because Eddie Mack, I think, is a cool guy, despite what people might think about him. They have his opinions about him. And he talked to me we talked about a potential partnership, a super show.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been talking to a few other leagues about it. I'm open for super shows because from what I heard back in the day, it used to be no problem for these leagues to partner with other leagues and there wouldn't be any drama or backlash about it. But now, people, if it's one league that you really don't like and then this other league that's been getting well liked and they partner up together, there's all this drama and all this, why did you do this? Why did you do this? And I'm like, I didn't do it for attention. I did it because it's good for both brands. It's good for both leagues. And I talked to him about it. He's like, he didn't have a problem with it. So that's where that started. And then the whole Casey Gordon blacklist thing started. And I know Ray is not going to like it when I talk about it because he has a hatred for them at the moment. But that's where that started. And that was the main CCL storyline. And then, of course, there's other people in there, Akira Yukimura, Zach Stone, Jordan Sylvia, Alexander Washington, that are in CCL. I know my women's champion, Morgan Rancroft, is currently in CCL right now, and she's feuding with Pyra, which is a match I've always wanted in DCA, but I'm happy that it's going to actually happen somewhere anyway. Which I don't know if you've seen any Morgan Rancroft matches, but have you seen any of her matches or know about her from DCA?
Myself, no, I'm not too familiar with it.
Okay, because she is one of the greatest right now going in women's wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to a part to DCA. I suggest if anyone out there has not seen her matches, you should. It's something else. I'll tell you that now. She claims to be very dominant, and I think she is. But then, there's those matches, there's those people in there, and I think it's a good working relationship for everyone involved. And I would be open for more interaction with these other leagues that, would be open to have a super show of some sort with DCA to kind of build exposure for both organizations. DCA has a following. This other league has a following. Why don't you just promote both?
Oh, I 100% agree with that. It's doing a super show. I don't see how it hurts unless unless they make it a personal thing or make it with people who don't like each other. But a super show is meant to help both shows, and I think with what you said there answers one of these fan questions that talked about your successful partnership with CCL, and they asked if the door was open for DCA to work with other call-feds besides CCL, in which you did answer that you'd be very open for another super show or to work with another cause show.
Yeah, I'd be open for it. I was actually talking at one point of having a joint promoted show where other leagues can, kind of like a Call All-Stars, where other leagues can have their matches on the show and equally promoted. They can even have their commentators commentate. Or commentate with me, or something. I haven't been on commentary for obvious reasons, but like have that whole exposure, that whole promotion thing for these other leagues.
Obviously, let's get to the big story, Revelations. What the hell happened? It caused a lot of ill will for yourself and DCA, and just before we get into like what was actually said by these people, what caused this? What happened on the show? I know, but let the viewers know.
Well, a few people are on the chat that were saying a lot of stuff about what happened with the show.
Yeah. I don't think these polls are
there was like a lot of things that happened. People were saying stuff about the show. They were like, oh, this show's bad. Oh, this match is going on too long and that kind of thing. And it really bummed me out because, this is my big show. The culmination of everything that I've done, everything I've worked so hard for. And they were like completely and totally screwing it up, saying all these things, and I was upset. I really genuinely thought that my show was horrible, and I just wanted to stop doing it. I just went through with the show, and after the show was over, people were messaging me and was like, "I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry that happened," and yeah, there were mistakes in the show, but it was still a good show. Some people told me it was still a great show. But those people said all those things, and I know there's a few others that might be listening that were on that chat and know exactly what they said. And it's people thought I wasn't going to do the show anymore. People thought I was going to really quit DCA. And I didn't. But it was very upsetting to me. I didn't know where to go on from there. I didn't know if I really wanted to keep going with it, but I did. And it was just a really rough time personally, non-character wise. It was really upsetting and frustrating for me.
Oh yeah, obviously. I definitely understand that. A very tough time. Now, with all that was said, you talk about there's people probably from the chat who are watching. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Who are the assholes who said this kind of stuff?
I mean, they know who they are.
I mean, they had no problem saying stuff about you.
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, to be fair, they haven't said anything anymore. Like, this is more like 5 months ago. And around that time, it was bad, and it went on for a few weeks, and then it was over. And it came up every now and again, but now it just doesn't come up at all anymore because of my new shows, which pretty much show people that, hey, it's mostly what happened is that these select people were saying that I don't take advice from other people who've been trying to help me. And, they gave me credit for not saying anything out loud about it because I'm not that kind of person. I'm not the kind of person to just do what they do and say whatever. I didn't bother with it. I didn't want to. And I just improved from the one person who actually did help me and is still helping me. And I think my shows are a lot better. And I think with this upcoming mega event I'm doing, it's going to be something where I show them how far I've come since then.
All right, so just to be clear, because I think I sense this, you don't want to name drop them.
No, I don't want to name drop them. If I name drop them,
I will say this though: one of them's a complete creep, is a pedophile.
that may be true. If I know if you're talking about who I think you're talking about, then that might be true.
Well,
he fucked a 14-year-old.
Well, DWall obviously doesn't want to say who they are. Jay, would you like to say who he is?
Out of respect for DWall, I will not say Bret Hart's name at all.
That's off air. That's one of them.
Oh, okay, all right.
One of them.
What the fuck?
There was 3 others. Well, no, there was 3 others, but he was the main one.
Hi, Brett. I'm Jay Crack. You may not know me, but I'm a troll.
Think of some. Again, keep in mind that DWall isn't saying anything. I think there's some Josh guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
He likes to spell his name backwards, Joshua X, all that kinds of stuff. But, whatever. I think people know where I'm going with that. But with these people, do you still keep a form of a relationship with them? Do you still talk to these people, or do you guys parted ways?
We parted ways.
So
we parted ways that night. That night, they unfollowed my DCA account. One of them said that my league was dead. I will say that. One of them said my league was dead. One of them repeatedly sent messages they sent messages and tweeted the account saying how bad the show was. One of them even responded to Ray Gaddis's tweet that he made about the show. And he knows who that person is, I'm sure. Because he was talking about the show, and then
I told him just what the hell I thought of it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a back and forth for a minute. So, he knows who it is. So it was a pretty intense moment for a good few days, especially that night after the stream ended was when it really kicked in, when all the stuff started.
So obviously, and I felt that was probably the answer. You don't communicate with these guys anymore. Obviously, they've parted ways. If let's just say hypothetically, in the future, these guys they were like, "Hey, DWall, what happened. We're sorry. We said some things. Let's hug it out." Would you be open for that, or are you like, fuck you? You get to the curb.
We'd have to talk about it. We'd really have to talk about what happened and moving forward, because what happened that night was something that really shouldn't have happened. If they really thought it was bad, if they really thought they had an opinion about it, they didn't have to publicly trash my league to the point. Actually, in my opinion, that night actually helped DCA grow more than it did. Because after that night, after people were saying how bad the show was, more people started wondering why it was so bad and wanted to see the show. And they were more interested in the show because people were saying how bad it was. And I think that's what made the turnaround for me, was people were actually telling me the same thing. People are saying how bad it is, but when they actually see it, they'll see how good the other shows were. Because, yeah, this show might have had a few mistakes and everything, but everything else, they'll know how great it is. So you don't have to worry about it. It's like, I wasn't worried about it. It was just hard for me to get over the fact that these people that I used to trust and that I used to be friends with, sort of friends with, whenever I could talk to them, ended up turning their backs on me in one night just because of one bad show. And I was like, okay, fine. If you want to feel that way, then don't bother.
Right. I get that. So, if it's not it's a completely no, but you aren't gonna just take them back and shit. Like, with all this stuff, I think we can all agree, and if you guys could see the chat, we're all saying the same thing when it comes to this stuff. It's called wrestling. This is a hobby of ours. We do it for fun. No need to go and do all that kinds of shit. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that the fact that people get so stuck up in this bullshit and they believe into their characters. Like, I'm Shawn Walsh. I play a character that's an egotistical bastard and it can be a mean guy, but that's what it is. It's a character for fun. I don't get paid for this. Guess what? When I hit the stop button on Audacity, when I record my promo, yes, Audacity, which is you can download for free online. That's it. Shawn Walsh is a character, and that's the same thing when it goes for DWall. That's the same when it goes for Ray Geddes. That's the same thing it goes for a J-Crack. The same it goes for Caleb Blair. Whoever. It doesn't make a difference. We're all characters, and we're not getting paid for this. Sometimes there's more drama in call than there is for actual professional wrestling. That's sad. People need to get over it. If they had such a problem with your show, they should have been mature about this. And all these guys, by the way, are older than me. Could have messaged you and be like, "Hey, dude, I didn't like this."
Like a personal message.
Right.
A personal message.
Just
not a at DCA Wrestling, blah, 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 this show is bad, blah, 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 this league's dead, that kind of stuff, Like, there's this one person who was actually gloating about the fact that my wiki page was deleted by the other person who owns the wiki pages, and they deleted my whole entire wiki page. And I found it was just one word. It said dead. That's it. And after that, I haven't made a wiki page since for obvious reasons.
This is called Wikia, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh God, fuck that place.
Oh, call Wikia. You go ahead, but I have a rant for them. But you go ahead, DWall.
It just said dead, and I accidentally deleted my Twitter for that night, and then I realized what happened. I really did it, and then I found on it, it's like, yeah, the Twitter's not there anymore. I'm so happy. I killed another league. I was like, are you serious?
Killed another league.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're really going to say that?
It's
okay.
Ridiculous.
I'm like, I couldn't tell if it was a joke or if he was actually being serious, but from the tone of it, it sounded like he was really, really serious about it. I'm like, wow, okay. That's your thing. But,
yeah,
it's all in my rearview mirror now. It happened.
It's in the past.
Yeah, I don't want to bring up. I mean, if you guys do, that's fine. You guys can do that. You can do that. But I don't want to start more drama than it's worth when all of it already ended and everything like that. If I do, then oh well. I don't really get a chance to speak my mind that much, so Yeah,
well, everyone deserves to give their side of the story. We've heard for months about what they think, and shit, regardless, that's why one reason why I wanted you on the Shawn Walsh show, so you could explain your side of the story and explain why all this was happening and why it's really pathetic. And the whole Call Wikia thing, for me, it doesn't surprise me because I know about Call Wikia. I don't. You said that you don't deal with them anymore, and I haven't for years because they did similar things to some of my Call Wikia pages. The people who run Call Wikia are people who think they're on some kind of higher pedestal than us. They think we're lower than them because at least there was a time, and some of them maybe to this day, but some of them, there was a time in which they got more viewers on a video, so that made them high class. So if someone came that wasn't in their forum, if wasn't in their that wasn't in their group, that wasn't as popular. Oh, you only get 50 views on your episode? Well, let me go edit your page and make edits to a Ben Hitman page, which apparently he died according to Call Wikia. That's funny, because I remember Ben Hitman. He was on last Superstar Mayhem. Ben
Hitman. That's another guy I was interested in going to DCA.
He may be interested in that. I'll have to talk to Ben Hitman. But they do things, they delete pages. There's a little section on Call Wikia where it's like shitty cause or whatever.
Or colleagues with bad booking or something.
Right.
Like that.
And they just go and add people to their whatever. Oh, you're not new WWE. You're not WEDF. You're not OSHA Jacks, or you're not whoever. And, and I'm not saying, like, it is those people, but they're the shows that are more accepted, and at least their fans are like that, and it's really pathetic, which is why I encourage no one to go to Call Wikia. Don't go to Call Wikia. It's just a mess. And a lot of the guys that run Call Wikia are, if we want to use wrestling terms, past their prime, meaning they're not even really that popular anymore. They're done. No one really cares. I don't see people talking about new WWE anymore, but I see people talking about COH and DCA and CCL and AWF, but I don't see any of that bullshit in these shows, so I suggest stay with what's in now.
And like, not trying to start anything, but I probably will, so okay. Like these leagues, these shows, I give them credit. They have great quality, and their match stuff is really great and everything. I'll give them that. WEDF I don't have a problem with. I'm talking about all the other ones. All the other ones. Because I know the owner of WEDF, and he didn't say anything. He wasn't the guy. He wasn't one of the guys who was trashing DCA on that night, so I'm not talking about him. Everybody else, though, they tried to help me. They tried to talk to me, and then that night they're like, oh, you didn't listen to us at all. And to me, it was like, are you trying to make my league like yours? Because if that's the case, I don't want it. I want my league to be what I want it to be. I don't want it to be the way you want it to be. I don't want it to be where if it's not this certain way, then I don't like it. If it doesn't have this, I don't like it. If it doesn't have the match exactly like this, I don't like it. And it was bad because that's the way I felt that night. It may not have been the way they were intending it to, but that's the way I felt, and I'm going with it. And their quality's great and all that stuff, but I don't want it to be all this flashy stuff. I don't want it to be all like, oh, these graphics, oh, this match quality, oh, blah, blah, blah. I want it to be the way I feel it to be,
At the end of the day, DCA is your show.
Exactly. I don't want it to be anybody else's show, or else I would give it up to somebody else and let them take care of it. If they wanted me to have it the way they wanted it to me to have it, let them take over. Let them take over DCA. then it can be the way you want it. But until then, it's my show. I can do what I want with it. And if people come up to me and they're actually they're actually genuine about wanting to help me, I'll listen to you. But if you're going to tell me that I'll help you, and then 5 minutes later turn around and say, "Oh, this is bad. I don't need you to. You don't listen to me. Then don't even come up to me anymore and try and help me, because you're just going to turn around and leave regardless if it doesn't go your way."
Exactly. Now, I do believe that there are a couple people in here, because as you guys know, and I think you've heard, for the Shawn Walsh Show, sometimes there's a bit of an audience, and because of like what we've been talking about, may have a couple of things that they'd like to say, so go ahead.
Alright. Claw shows are meant to reflect off the eyes of the owner, in my opinion. Zachary Daiquiri said it best. If you have fun making it, and it shouldn't matter what the hell someone thinks about what your show is when you put it up. Because you know what? You had fun doing it. It's what you wanted to do. If no one likes what the fuck they're doing, then they don't have to watch your fucking show. But to go around and badmouth, it's really immature. It's really fucked up. Because there are people who will get into what you like, exactly. That's the point of it. There's these people that want to fucking suck the fun out of it. And instead of it just being a hobby, it turns into a fucking job. And it's annoying. And I gotta say, you're talking about how DCA was on the cause of bad booking category thing on Call Wikia. You know who else is on there? CCL. What's CCL doing? It's working with DCA. And guess what? It's one of the best original storylines out there right now, in my opinion. Now,
I'll second that.
Who the hell said this? Oh, Brent Harvinator, right? Okay. Okay, Brent, you motherfucker have no room to say anything about this, because you bitched to Eddie because he wouldn't give you the fucking CCL title, to the point where you had to end up cutting a promo saying if you didn't win the belt, you were going to walk out. Eddie gave you the belt, and then you told him the minute that he was going to lose it, he was going to walk out because you weren't going to come out champion, because he was going to give it to Aaron Alexander, who, in my opinion, is a way better heel. Way better. And matter of fact, the dude doesn't even have to fucking cut an audio promo to do that. Why? Just because you're special and can do fucking pain tool makes you fucking better than who you are? Get the fuck over yourself and go fuck another 14-year-old or something like that, you Aussie.
I listened to a couple of his promos. They sucked. That's all I got to say about it.
Alright, so I'm the only one who's going to clap for Cash. Alright.
There we go.
See, go Cash. Yeah. Or Caleb, I don't know.
I'm going to go back to my cheese and crackers now. I'm good.
I'm going to go bitch in the comments again.
Just like a true wrestling fan.
I'm sure Ray Geddes has some things to say.
He's got a whole promo to fucking do.
He does.
I got a whole promo coming. I'm just going to save it for my promo, man. If I start on it now, we might be sitting here talking about this for a damn hour.
I don't think he would have any issues with that.
I'm the same with Ray, but this can't be 3 hours,
No.
Well, you're right. You're right. They have been 3 hours before.
They have
3.5 hours.
I had to split them.
But, this is about DWall, so. Shawn wants to do an entire episode about us bitching about shit. There we go. So I'm just going to keep myself preoccupied.
Well, we'll get back to DWall, because since we started with a whole huge rant on Kaw and some of the people who try to make it not fun. But since this all happened, obviously, like you said, it's in the past. Moving forward, what does the future lie for DCA? What are you, maybe some things you're looking forward to doing? What is the future of DCA after all this shit is all said and done?
Future DCA. Well, like I said, I'm open for more super shows.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, me out of character is, my in character's fired.
Right.
He hasn't been seen. But out of character, yeah. I'd be more than happy to do super shows with other leagues. Other leagues, if they have calls that want to come in, and they can. I want Sudden Impact to have more of a platform with these other people, and if they go straight to the main roster, same thing. I feel like these super shows will get more exposure on these guys too that aren't really seen as much. And if they want to, all they got to do is just talk to me. I'm not a hard guy to talk to. I'm easygoing to talk to. If you want to get into DCA, just ask. Work things out. We'll work things out, and that's it. I pretty much will accept anybody in DCA if they want to be in it. I'm not like you have to be this certain person or you have to have done this certain thing to be in DCA. If you want to be in DCA, you go right ahead. You can go right ahead. You just gotta talk to me and tell me, hey, I want to be in DCA, and we'll work things out from there.
Exactly. And you don't got it, and you talk about, I'm sure you share the same opinion as me, is you don't have to be the biggest name. You don't have to be, I want a world championship everywhere I've been. Maybe go into, say, DCA, maybe you don't go there right away and you're doing that, but maybe one day you will, and eventually you become a top guy when the time is right. Hey, at the top of the ladder right now, maybe guys like Ray Geddes, AJ Young, and all these other names. But guess what? There's going to be a point where someone else is going to have to be there. You got to start somewhere. And also, there are other divisions in college shows besides the world title. You need mid-carders, you need tag teams. So,
yeah, there's a Celestial title and the tag team titles. There's the Sudden Impact World title. There might be a mid-card for Sudden Impact if the roster's big enough.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Alright, well, now let's go to name association. This should be fun. I love name association. Alright, let's start it off with Eddie Mack of CCL.
Eddie Mack. Fun, easy to go into work with, very humble, very, very open for ideas, if they're the right ideas. Obviously he won't take an idea that he knows won't work. So, yeah, he's really good to work with.
Alright, how about Gregory Black?
Gregory Black. I've heard a lot of opinions on Gregory Black, especially from people that I've personally talked to. But I haven't talked with him. I haven't even met him. But I'm sure he's an okay guy if we ever got a chance to speak. But, that's just for me, my personal opinion. And, I haven't met him. So I would want to meet him. I'd want to talk with him. But that's up to him.
Alright, Travis Sparks, the owner of COH.
I only talked to him one time, and the one time I've talked to him, he was a really nice guy. Of course, if I'd want to talk with him about any talent from COH, I'd have to talk to him again, and I'd be open for that. But yeah, he's a really nice guy, really, really nice guy to talk to.
Alright. AJ Young. I know you guys are friends.
Yeah. AJ Young.
Has he fallen asleep on you yet?
Brash, cocky, but he really gets in character. That's for sure.
Giving him way too much credit.
Yeah. Oh, I'm giving him way too much credit, though, maybe, from the comments I'm seeing. But yeah, he's in DCA now, so interesting to see where that goes.
Alright, let's see, how about the Raging Redneck, Ray Geddes?
Loud.
Loud!
Loud. But but for good reason.
That's funny. All right. Some tricky ones. I don't know if you even want to talk about these. This is up to you. Mr. Harvinator. We'll use his clan name.
Brent. Well, he's going by Brent Delvine now, apparently. But the times I talked to him, he actually seemed like he wanted to help me. If he ever came back to me and wanted to help me, I'd be open if we had a talk and discussion about it. I don't have any hate towards any of the guys that did what they did that night. But as for Brent, if he genuinely wanted to give me advice and wasn't like have a bunch of hate in his heart for it, I'd be open to listen to him.
All right. What about Keem Johnson? Runs ECW.
Yeah, the head commentator for DCA now. He's a really nice guy to talk to. I've had a discussion with him a lot of times, and whenever he's free to commentate DCA, he's more than willing to. He's even helped me book some shows. But yeah, ever since I met him, he's been really open and really happy to talk with me and work with DCA. And if there was any sort of chance that there was a DCA ACW crossover, I'd be open to do it. I talked to him about it at one point. He's like, I don't know how that would work, but I was like, oh, we'll try, I guess. I mean, I'd be open for that. It'd be different, but hey, it can happen, I guess.
All right. Billy Kidman.
Are we talking about the actual guy, Billy?
Oh yeah,
Kidman?
Billy Kidman.
His shooting star press was alright, I guess.
When he wasn't hurting people.
When he wasn't hurting people, yeah. If he could do it right, then yeah, that would have been. If he wasn't so close to the turnbuckles, maybe he wouldn't have hurt so many people.
That's true. All right, and let's finish it off with another controversial name, one who hasn't had some nice things said about him. We said Brent, so we might as well go Osha Jax.
Osha Jax, Joshua Bishop. Off the topic. When he was not doing his league, I helped him start it again.
Right.
Because he was genuinely not wanting to do it anymore, and I was wanting to help him do it because I wanted him to. I told him he had more time on his hands and he finally could do his league. And from what I heard, he respects me for that. I respect the guy. He does what he can for his league. From what I've heard from the people that I've talked to, the only reason why he did what he did was because he really wanted DCA to go somewhere. That's where it gets tricky with me. That night I thought he was bashing it because he really hated it. Then I found out that he did it because he wanted it to grow and get better. I don't know how he feels about it now. I haven't personally talked to him. Last time I talked to him, we tried to bend fences. He said no. I don't know if we talked, it would be the different now or not. But I helped him with his league, so all I would ask is for him to genuinely want to help me back, and that this time we could do it without the bashing and the hate and the spite and all of that. That's all I would ask for, really, if he ever wanted to talk to me about helping DCA and stuff like that.
So for OSHA Jacks, you'd be open to mending that and making things better.
Yeah, for all of them really, because like I said, I don't hate them. I don't have any hate for them. I just would want to make things right because we never could. We never could make things right about the situation. It just blew over. But if we ever got a chance to talk things out and go, okay, this happened, can we move on and start over? Yeah, I'd love to do that.
All right, sounds good. Well, DWall, it's been a pleasure to have you on the Shawn Walsh Show. A lot of fun, a lot more fun than I thought, thanks to some entrances.
Yeah.
But it was really fun to talk about this. I'm glad I gave you the chance to talk about all this stuff. And now finally you can fully move on and continue with DCA. And who knows, maybe because of this we'll see some other names show up in DCA soon. You never know.
Yeah, this all depends on the future.
All right. Well, again, thank you for being on. Look forward in the future to having you back.
No problem. Anytime.
You forgot about that.
Yeah.
You sure I can't host?
I'm sure. Okay.
Or commentate with me or something. I haven't been on commentary for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But, have that whole exposure, that whole promotion thing for these other leagues, and I'd be open for that.
Well,
That's right, you bastards. Kevin Impact is in the house. If I interrupted your ass, I don't give a damn. It's payday. I got my Netflix back on. Impact is in the house. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Oh my god, that was beautiful. That was the best thing ever. You just entered the Shawn Walsh Show. Thank you.
That's
4th of July. Who's ready? If you're ready for the 4th of July, give me a top that.
Oh God, top that. Well, that certainly was interesting and
That
unexpected.
is what you call an attitude era entrance. But anyways, nice to meet all of you guys. Much respect, much love to you guys. How's it going?
It's going well. We're in the midst of recording the Shawn Walsh Show with DWall.
You guys are doing the show right now?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Well, that's wonderful. This is perfect. I wish somebody would have messaged me and told me you guys are doing some kind of podcast or something.
Hell, I didn't know you were going to come on. Hey, you didn't ever send me a message back, you son of a bitch.
Well, you bastards are going to get some good ratings now because you guys kept an impact on the show, the rage, the global phenomenon, the box office hit, all that in a bag of chips. That's right.
My God. Anything can happen on the Shawn Walsh
I'm not
Show.
gonna lie, I'm crying right now.
This is interesting because I kind of always wanted to be on the Shawn Walsh Show, but I didn't want to call him or anything. I kind of figured he called me, but oh well. Hey, things happen.
Well, quite the entrance to come.
Hey, this is kind of interesting. You guys doing like a big podcast with everybody?
Well, it just was DWall. Everyone's just kind of listening in.
We just listening. DWall from he does his show DCA, but he does announcing on CCL too. And I know you've watched CCL before, Jay.
Yeah, I like CCL. Good stuff. Man, I'm sorry I just caved in your podcast moment, man.
He podcast bombed y'all's ass.
No, it's funny. I was kind of wondering why it was so damn quiet when I walked in the room.
My fault, Jay. I should have messaged you, man. I thought I didn't know you was coming. I invited you earlier when we wasn't doing the podcast. Oh. Okay, and hell, you never sent me anything back, so I didn't know you was coming. I'm sorry, Sean.
No, it's fine.
I think anybody else had a problem with it.
Let's get back to the podcast. The man of the moment.
All right. Let's get this back.
Christ.
I don't think they wanted to. They're too busy laughing.
Oh, I'm cheering.
Well, let's try to get.
Hey, you got a blooper reel now.
Yeah, that's true. Back to the Shawn Walsh show.